Okay, let's start our class with a new topic, that is
Okay.
NumPy. NumPy in Python, right? What is NumPy? NumPy is numerical Python. This is a library which is inbuilt in Python, right? So by using this library, we will work on an array, right? Suppose that you are having an array, uh, like you will work with matrix, right? So how we will create matrix? Suppose you are having matrix of 3 by 3, right? So which has contained 3 rows and 3 columns, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So this is an array, or you can say that this is matrix, right? Of 3 by 3, right? Now, how we will create array in Python? To create a array, you need to import NumPy library. Import NumPy library and create an alias. Suppose as NP. NP is a short name of this library. Wherever it is required, we will use this short name, right? So after this, what has it written, right? It has written nd array. Take a variable which name is nd array, right? Nd array and is equal to, now create an array by using library and call the method array, right? This is the method which will create an array in Python, and just pass the array of the dimensions, how many dimensions you want to create with your array. Suppose that I want to create an array of 1 dimension, right? So the array will be like that: 1, 2, 3. This is 1 dimensional array, right? So which means which has no columns, which has only row, right? So this is an array. Suppose that now the output will be 1, 2, 3. There is no column of this array, right? Okay, this is 1 dimension array, 1 dimensional array or 1 dimension array. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So now print entire array by using print function. Print, just pass the variable name in which you have stored your array, right? nd array. Now the output will be 1, 2, 3 inside the array. It will return an array which has contained some elements, whatever you have passed here while creating your array, right? So here are the elements. Now the final output is, this is an array, right? And you can check the version of the library, right? By using double underscore version double underscore attribute, right? So we will call this attribute by this library like that. Print np dot double underscore version double underscore, and now close the parenthesis. It will return the version of the numpy. Is it clear? Whatever version having this array, right? So it will return the version of array. Is it clear? And there is a method of um, to check an array, check the dimension of an array. Call the print np. Sorry, um, this is the array, right? So you will call the array which you have created here, right, and store into a variable. You will call um, ending endem endem attribute with this array, whatever you have created here, right? So now nd array dot endem, it will return the dimension of that array, right? So what is the dimension of this array? This is the this is one dimensional array, right? So what is one dimensional array and two dimensional array? One dimensional array um, does not have contain any columns, right? So where the two dimensional array contains rows and columns. Suppose that this is your two-dimensional array, right? So which has contained two elements, and this sub array contains some elements. Suppose that 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. Right? This is two-dimensional array. Each square bracket represents the dimension of an array. And how many squares are there in this array? There are two square brackets of this array, right? So the first one is this, and this array has contains sub array, right? So this is a sub array, right? The first array and the second array, which is also element of that array, right? So this is the first element in the array, and this is the second element array, right? So this is the second dimensional array, right? Now let's do some practical with this. Now import numpy library by using import keyword numpy. As np, right? Now we have imported numpy library as np, right? Now create an array. Now first check the version of that array. Print np dot, how will we check the version of that library? Double underscore version double underscore. right? Now execute the same command. It has returned the version of array. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, now create an array and the array equal, use that short name np dot array. Array is the method in which you will create your array. Now pass the dimension of that array. If you don't write elements inside the square brackets, right? So that means that array will be zero dimension array. Suppose that if you are writing only that array, that means it will return an array which has no dimension. See this, it has no dimensions. And now let's check the dimension of this array by using ndim. So it will return the zero, which means this has zero dimension, right? Which means this array has no dimensions, right? So after this, if you pass this element inside the square brackets, so here we are passing only one square bracket. That means we are creating one dimensional array. Each square bracket represents the dimension of an array, right? So that means we are creating one dimensional array. Now check the number of dimension. What, see this, one dimensional array. Now print, also print that array, print nd array dot, sorry, nd array. This is an array which has only one dimension, right? So this is only one dimension array. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, now create a two-dimensional array. So pass the two square brackets, one for first uh, dimension and the second one is for second dimension. Now create, insert some elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And now create another array inside that dimension, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, right? So this is two-dimension array, right? And the thing is that this array has contains sub array, right? Which has contains some elements, right? So or you can say that this array has contains a complete array as an element. And how many elements are there? There are two elements if we are talking about only the first dimensional array, and the second dimensional array which has contains 5 elements, right? Okay, now the execute this command and see this. This is the two-dimensional array, right? Which has uh, some matrix, right? And the dimension of this array is 2, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Now create uh, three-dimensional array or multiple dimensional array, three or multiple dimensional array. So how will you create? There is a method by using which you can create multiple dimensions. Here, just and d min, right? So this is an attribute in which you will pass the number of dimensions. This is the number of dimensions. This is the number of dimensions. This is an attribute which contains the dimension of array, in which here you will pass the dimension of array. If you are passing 6, that means the array will be created by 6 dimensions only, right? So how many uh, dimensions we are passing? Only 2, but we have passed here 6. So the array will be created of 6 dimensions, right? So now I execute this command and see this. How many dimensions are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each square bracket represent the dimension of array. The first one for the first dimension, and the second one for the second dimension, and the third one is for the third dimension, and so on, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, in that way you can create the multiple dimensions array, right? So array is identified by, if we are creating with one bracket, that means we are creating one dimensional array, right? So if we are creating that, which you can call vector, this is only the vector, this is the simple line, right? And if you are creating two-dimensional array, so that means two-dimensional array. So that means you are creating matrix, and the third dimensional array or multiple dimensional array. So that means you are creating multi-dimensional array. So that means you are creating tensor, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, now access now first of all, create an array of one dimension, right? Just pass the one dimensional array here. These are the elements, right? And how will you access the elements from that array, right? Just um, print and the array. You will do some indexing to access elements from the array, right? Same like that we were doing in the list, right? So all the elements are indexed, and index starts will be from 0 to number of elements, right? So now I want to access the first element in the array. I will pass 0 here, which means this element will be at 0 index position. And if I want to access any other element, suppose that the third element in the array, that means I will pass the second position of that element, right? So this element will be at second position. See this, and the array okay 0. Oh sorry, now execute this command and finally see this. See this. Pass the index position in which you want to access your element, right? Now create two-dimensional array. And this is a very simple two-dimensional array. And how will you access that element, right? Now execute this command and access that element. You have to pass two index position, right? Two index position here. First index position will be for the first dimension, right? And the second index position will be the second dimension. So how many dimensions are there? There are two dimensions. So I will pass how many, the first dimensional array has contains only the one element. This array only the contain one element, which is at zero position, right? If I and of or if I insert any other element, suppose 4, 5, 6, this is the second element inside this array. So this array contains two elements, right, at 0 and 1 index position, right? And I want to access the second element of the second array, right? So how will you access that element? Now just pass the first dimension index position. So in which dimension, in which at, at what position you want to access your array, right? What is the index position of that array? This is the 0 index position and this is the 1 index position, right? So that means you will pass the first index position for the first dimension. And what you will pass here? 2, sorry, 1, right? Why? Because the first dimension contains two arrays, right? Which is at 0 and 1 index position, and you want to access the second element of that array. And what is the index position of that array in the first dimension? So this is the first dimension, and this is uh, the first index position of that array, 0 and 1. If I write 0, so I want to access any elements from this array, right? And now pass the 1, so that means I want to access element from that array. And at what position you want to access the element? Second element. So what you will pass? 1, because the index position will start from 0, 0, 1, 2. So this is the second element will be at first position. That's why you will pass 1, right? Now execute this program. You will see that 5. Can you please tell me if I want to access the third element in that array, right? Two-dimensional array. Then what will be the index position for this element? Can you please tell me?
Yes.
You tell me
Six.
what will be the index position of that element?
Wait. 5. Fifth position. 5.
Okay. 5.
Fifth.
3.
Fifth position. 5.
5.
Yes.
How? What is the index position of that element?
Fifth.
No. Now count the index position of that array. This has this array
Third
contains some elements. And how many elements are there?
3.
3. So what is the index position of that array? That element? From where the index position will start? From 0,
0.
right? So the first element will be at
4. 1.
no first element will be at what index position?
Will be at first index position.
No, that will all the first element will be always at 0 index position, because we have already studied about list. We have
Okay.
studied about indexing. Indexing always starts in array from 0, right? So first element will be always at 0 index position, right? 0. And the
Yes.
second element will be at 1 index position, and the third element will be at second index position. So what is the index position of that element? Of that element. What is the index position of that element?
Second index position.
Yes,
Second.
yes. Now we will pass second index position, right? And tell me one more thing. Um, this array, how many elements contain this array? This is first dimension, right? This is first dimension and this is 2 dimension. And this array, how many elements contain?
Yes.
How many elements this array contains?
How many elements are?
Yes, how many elements this array contains? How many elements? 2. 2 or 6?
2 elements.
2 or 6? 2 or 6?
2.
2.
2.
Right. Right. This is the first element and this is the second element. That's why I have passed 1 index position here, because I want to access the second array, right? So I will pass the first position. Why? Because the first array is at 0 index position and the second array is at 1 index position. That's why I have passed 1 index position here for the first dimension. This is the first dimension, right? First
Yes.
dimension index position, right? And this is the second dimension index position, right? Now
Yes.
see this, right? This is the element.
Yes.
Now tell me, if I want to access the second element from here, what will be the index position? This element I want to access. Tell me the index position.
1, 0,
1 0
0, 0,
0. Okay, and
0 and 1.
0 and 1, right? Good. So that means this thing clear, right?
Yes,
Okay. In that way, we can access elements in the array. Now, I'm creating the multi-dimensional array, right? Suppose, okay. Now, I want to access that element from the multi-dimensional array or third dimensional array. Now, what will be the index position here? First, first dimension has contained an array or the element or one element, right? So this dimension only contains one element, that is this, and second dimension contain two elements. The first element this and the second element this, right? And the third dimension contains these elements, right? So we will pass three index position here, and now I want to access the third element here. So I will pass what I will pass here. This dimension contain only one element. There is no second element here. See this. See only this bracket and this bracket, right? See this. See only one element here, right? Here this bracket opens and here this bracket closes. So this dimension, this array contains only one element, which is at zero index position, right? So I will pass zero index position because this has only one element. And after this, I'll pass the second index position for the second dimension. So check the second dimension here. Second array contains two elements, right? Which has the first element at zero index position and second element is at one position. And I want to access the sixth element, right? Which is at one index position. Now I will pass the zero. I'll pass one index position because this array has contained two elements, right? And now the third one is for this, right? This element I want to access, then that's why I will pass two, right? Now see this. In that way, we can access elements from the multi-dimensional array, right? Now tell me the index position of that array. How will you access the second element from here? Tell me.
yes,
Tell
what?
me. I want to access the second element from here. So what is the index
Yes,
position? What I have to write here? What I have to pass here?
in second notation, first index notation,
First, what I will pass here? See this,
number
write,
one.
write the index position for to access this element.
So you write the index position to access the first index notation.
First index position, right?
Yes,
So here
first
what
index position.
I will pass,
First
same or
number one,
should I change here
0 and 1.
0 and 1?
You remove the 2. You remove the 2.
Okay. So what I write here
What do you
0
mean?
and
What do you write here? 0 and 1. That's it.
0 and 1. So this is only
Yeah.
this is check the dimension of here. We need to
Yes.
pass 3 index position. So we have 1 index position left here.
Okay.
So what I will pass here?
3 index position.
3 index position. No, I just want to access the second element in that array. In that array.
3,
This is
3 comma 1.
no. Now just check the dimension. If I talk about this array, how many elements this array contains? How many elements this array contains?
The
One,
array contains two
only
one element.
one element.
Two
So
elements.
we need to pass 0 index position, right? Why? Because this has
Yes.
only one element, right? And
Yes.
this is for first dimension. Now we will work on second dimension. Just tell me the second array, how many elements contain this array? How many elements contain this array? Second dimension.
Three
Two.
elements.
Two elements. Only 2 elements. Why?
Yes, 2 elements.
Why? Because this is the first element and this is the second element, right?
Yes.
So this array contains only 2 elements, right? And at what position I want to access element from here? So I will pass 0 index position for the second element, second array, right? So this is the 0, right? For this, because this array contains only 2 elements, which is at 0 and 1 index position, and I want to access an element from 0 index position or the 0th array position, right? So that's why I have passed 0 here. Now what element I want to access here? What element I want to access here?
Again.
Second.
First element.
First element. This is what
Yes.
element? First element I have already passed here. Now inside this third
This is
dimension.
the third element. This is the third element.
Second element.
Yes.
Okay. So at what position? This element? Second?
It's at the first position.
First position. So I'll pass first index position here. Now the index is 0, 0, 1. Okay. So in that way we can create or we can access any of elements from the multi-dimensional array, right? Okay.
Yes.
In the next lesson we will work on some operations, right, of array. We will study about more. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.